Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. On Monday, when I was talking to you, I had rather broken the news that Saudi Arabia has broken diplomatic, trade, and educational relations with Canada. That was the news which later on became a nightmare for many people. Is this break in the diplomatic relations with whom we had very close relationship a matter of principle, or is it a ham-handed approach? That's a crucial question facing us. And today, the situation is that we are losing about $15 billion a year because of the trade losses. And the losses are not only for the arm industry, but for the other industries as well, including agriculture. The biggest loss is going to be to the universities, where each student from Saudi Arabia pays $100,000, which is paid by the government of Saudi Arabia, to the universities. And would you believe that Saudi Arabia is Canada's biggest source of international medical residents, and each pays $100,000 a year. And there are more than 15,000. Anyway, what has happened is that Canada doesn't happen to have any back channel with Saudi Arabia. It was always thinking that it can ride a high horse, criticize others, and yet the others would keep on accepting the gross interference in their internal affairs. Posing to be a champion of the human rights, which is not bad by itself. Champion of gender equality, which is again not bad by itself. But by imposing it on others, when it goes against their interest, is something which is normally not done. And now it's approaching those countries, the European Union countries, United Arab Emirates, and anybody else who can help them, so that the fences can be mended with Canada, with Saudi Arabia. The closest ally which could have done it, because US has forged very close relationship with Saudi Arabia, has opted out, and US has very clearly said that they are not interested and they will not participate. Normally, Canada should not have done it, and it should have done it differently. There's no harm, as I said earlier, in promoting your ideals. But to do it grossly, to do it rudely, and to do it undiplomatically is simply not acceptable. Canada clearly eschewed all normal diplomatic channels in taking its human rights dispute with Saudi Arabia and its public on Twitter. The Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs had recommended these statements to the minister. But then the question is whether the Privy Council office signed off. My information is that they did not. The timing and the why of the government would choose a holiday weekend in August, which is one of the slowest and sleepiest time of the year, to scold Saudi in such righteous terms, was simply not something acceptable to them. And as it turned out, it was not only the foreign minister, Chrystia Freeland, in the loop. It started in her personal Twitter. She wrote, very alarmed to know and learn that Samad Badwai, Raif Badwai's sister, has been imprisoned in Saudi Arabia. Canada stands together with Badwai family at a difficult time and will continue to strongly call for release of both Raif and Samarpit Bhai. They are both human rights activists. They have been sentenced. Raif has been sentenced to 10 years in jail with flogging for his blogs. And what the minister did, the Department of Global Affairs followed it up. And they said Canada is gravely concerned. Now, this time to start up the diplomatic relations with Saudi happened to coincide incidentally. Now, this is very important. It coincided with the Prime Minister and the Freeland having weekend events in Vancouver, where they're closely aligned with their human rights agenda. Justin Trudeau was marching in the Vancouver Pride Parade, which he always does. That's his favorite pet. And later on, he spoke at an event when he talked of the Love is Love movement. And on Monday, Freeland participated in an international conference on LGBTQ rights. The Saudis said there's a blatant interference in the kingdom's domestic affairs against basic international norms. And not only Saudi Arabia broke the relations. It was a bolt from blue as far as the federal government is concerned. They expelled the Canadian ambassador and gave him 24 hours to leave. They froze trade and investment with Canada, and they have cancelled the air flights from Toronto to Saudi with effect from the 13th after 5 days. And the Saudis subsidized students, which are 15,000 number, have been asked to go back in 1 year. It's difficult to measure the financial loss to the Canadian universities. Even at the lowest level I'm talking, is going to be nearly 500 million a year. And the universities in Canada are clearly cash strapped, and they would not like that to happen. And then, as our trade is concerned, Canada exported $1.4 billion goods to Saudi Arabia, which is already less than what it exported in 2016, which was 2.4. So 2.4 to 1.41 billion we had already lost. And there's a matter of high artillery vehicles, LAVs, a $15 billion contract which has lapsed. It will cause lost job of 3,000 manufacturing jobs in southern Ontario. 2,300 such jobs are in the London area. Could something have happened? Now that gap would be filled in by USA. So the loss of Canada has been gain of United States of America. And the question is that other than Amnesty International, who is with Canada? European Union has said very clearly that both countries should mend their fences. That has no meaning. They have not criticized Saudi Arabia. Now Saudi Arabia, I've been seeing on the Twitter, on the Facebook, then the people have been saying, boycott Saudi Arabian oil. Now you boycott Saudi Arabian oil and take from Iran. The moment you take oil from Iran, USA would impose sanctions on you. As India has reduced its import, though India has been very close to Iran, and that's what I wrote today. That is an unlovely triangle between India, Iran, and USA. Now, imagine it. For years, Canada has been criticizing, condemning, suggesting to Saudi Arabia to mend its ways and to uphold the human rights. But things did not come to a pass because it was done in a diplomatic manner. Now this has put Trudeau and the Liberals, between a rock and a hard place. And it's going to be an election year. With that election year, the loss of the jobs means a lot. Naturally, those people who are losing the jobs, as I said, 2,300 in London area and 3,000 total, are not going to take kindly to it. So what is the cost of principal? $15 billion only in arms. $2 billion in agriculture. Now look at it. Interestingly, 70,000 tons of wheat were shipped in the last crop year to Saudi Arabia. 70,000 tons, which will not be there. 16 million tons total loss export is there. Then, the biggest loss, as I said earlier, is 10% of our barley production goes to Saudi Arabia. United States, traditionally very strong supporter of Canada, is staying on the sidelines. And simply because of the undiplomatic behavior of Justin Trudeau, when after Trump had agreed to G7 statement, he went and made another statement which was wrong. Canadian agriculture, as I said earlier, wood is heavily dependent on exports. And the total trade between Canada and Saudi Arabia is $4 billion. So $15 billion in LAVs, $4 billion in agriculture, and about $1 billion in medical and educational facilities. So give and take $20 billion per year in loss. And not only that, then the loss in the tourism. Those Saudis who were coming here would not be coming here, and that loss again goes to Canada. Some people are saying, and I partly agree with them, that it's a good thing that the Saudi-sponsored terrorism teaching mullahs would also not be coming. All the money that was going to those centers, the cells, the sleeping cells, would be withheld. They might adopt some other mean to send the money, but immediately it can be stopped. And as a matter of fact, government should put a stop to all the monetary transactions. If Canada takes that action, that can be a major blow to it. But one thing definitely is there. Those people who are already there, the sleeper cells, now they will go and speak against liberals. Maybe who gains? We don't know. But liberals are definitely going to lose. I have received a comment from a friend, and he says that I'm not a fan of liberals, and I think it was not out of the line. And I believe Saudi approach is exercising its petrodollar powers. Imagine if a Canadian citizen of Indian origin was jailed in India, would you not expect the same response? Now, let me tell you that Raif Badawi is not a Canadian citizen. He is a Saudi citizen. As a matter of fact, they have a double citizenship, but still he has not got the Canadian citizen. His relations, his wife has a Canadian citizenship, not the husband. Yes, if it was a Canadian citizen, I would have been revolted. I would have asked for the government to take action. But Badawi is not a Canadian citizen, nor is his sister a Canadian citizen. That's a canard, a rumor, a mistaken notion. Let's be very clear about that. Secondly, the law is very clear. If you're a double citizen, and I'm not on here, but normally, then the government of Canada has no right, because suppose there's a Pakistani who has two citizenships, and the guy goes to Pakistan and he's arrested. Then he's being arrested as a Pakistani citizen. So those countries which permit the double citizenship, and the people who opt for the double citizenship, lose the protection of the adopted country. You cannot have the cake and eat it also. So the point was very clear that it was an interference. Now, as a matter of fact, as I said, it could have been tolerated if it had been done as has been done earlier. Bedwai's case has been hanging fire for the last couple of years. And we have always been criticizing the government. But we did it in a manner which did not annoy them. Secondly, as far as the petrodollar is concerned, yes, why should they not? That is their right. If they are paying, money makes the mayor go. You need the money, you have to accept them. At least even if you don't accept them, don't abuse them. That's not done. Today, Canada is on the crossroads. It can annoy a major part of the Muslim world whom it has been cultivating for so assiduously. For the last 3 years, Justin Trudeau has been cultivating Muslims, going to the extent of enabling M103 resolution passed. And now he has annoyed them, and that is going to be a terrible thing. Thirdly, in international relations, you do not go to the extent. And now let me forewarn you, Canada is going to repeat this mistake in Burma, in Myanmar, where Rohingya problem is there. Nobody has given them a divine right to interfere in the affairs of the other nations. Their cultural needs, their economic needs, their social needs. You cannot impose your values on them. You can suggest them, well, look here, let's consider, you can consider it, but you can force them. And if you force them, the reaction can be bad, as it has been this time. It has been undiplomatic action on the part of the government. And simply because it's my country right and wrong, I do not believe in that jingoism. If it is wrong, it's wrong. Action is, you see, again, intention is not wrong. The way it has been expressed is wrong. As I said, way to the hell is paved with good intention. Are you listening, Madam Foreign Minister? If you are not, better listen to it. Thank you.